First time it only rang twice. I don't really get why.
Listen, me and technology, it's just not a good thing. But I'm president of Collinwood, and this is Daniel Culver Killenberg, and we're here to discuss Saw. We're also going to throw in some Batman discussions as well, with the whole Robert Pattinson thing. Um, so, going off Saw, that they they're going to expand on the universe. I know we talked about this earlier, but what do you think about Chris Rock being on the writing team?
You know, I'm not 100% sure because, like, because he's mostly known for, like, being comedy, and I know, like, Danny Bride is too. So, maybe Danny Bride could be, like, a sign that maybe Chris Rock can do it. And I guess, I think you told me about it, but I guess Chris Rock is a Saw fan, so maybe it will turn out good.
I'm just wondering how much. Again, they say he's writing it. Um, I'm just wondering if he's. I don't believe he's going to be the only one writing this. I'd be shocked if it would just be him writing it. Do you think that's the case, or
That's a good question. I kind of feel like he's probably not the only one.
uh, it is funny because I, you're right. They do have the director for what Saw what three I think it is coming back, um, but to like do this, so he does. I do like the fact that he. It's not like he's trying to cut people who have been in Saw out of it. He's actually bringing someone who did Saw in. I think that's a sign of good faith, don't you?
Yeah, I think it's a sign of good faith.
What do you think we're going to see, Daniel?
You know, um, that's actually a good question too. Well, um, I think it's possible that Jigsaw will come back, and I know people are gonna say, well, he's been in all of them, but yeah, but you never know. He's been dead too, so it's very possible he could not be in it as well.
I think I would not be shocked to see Tobin Bell in this because Tobin Bell has managed to sneak his way into every Saw, and it's like a goddamn tradition now, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I would say that.
But
One idea I had, and because of the recording, we couldn't do this. But for those that don't know, like one idea I had is that they could have it revealed that Jigsaw has a twin brother. That way they could keep Tobin Bell in. And for those that don't know, if you watch Jigsaw, they reveal that he had a nephew, so he has a sibling of some type.
yeah, Daniel's right. I was shocked at that, and I know you were too. That he had a nephew. I mean, we know he had a wife, but I find it shocking that all of a sudden, here he has a nephew. I enjoyed Jigsaw very much. I thought that was unique. So I could see the twin brother aspect coming into play. I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool. The only problem is, Tobin Bell's age. And I know, for those that don't know, like we were talking about how we talked earlier. Yeah, Joel actually brought it to my attention that Tobin Bell is pretty old now.
He's definitely not no young man. He's over 70. Um, Again, though, too, I mean, he's if he's willing to do it, and he can. I'm not going to hold it against him.
Oh yeah, me neither. And as you know, they kind of try to do that with Donald Pleasance with Halloween 6. For those that don't know, the series was supposed to continue with Loomis as the cult leader, but you know how that went.
Yeah, Donald Pleasance passed away in real life. That's sort of That was something else. Do you think we'll see the? I know a man or yeah, detective. The one detective was a copycat killer. Detective Hoffman,
Oh yeah,
as
Mark Hoffman.
yeah, Mark Hoffman, as you were pointing out earlier when we were talking. Do you think that's what we're going to see? That in this Saw we're going to see more copycat killers?
I could actually see that because like it actually seems like something people would do, like with that kind of killer too. And I know you were also talking about like, well, like like what if they did like different like things around the world and everything? That'd be kind of interesting too.
I think if there are like copycat killers, that that's something we would see. Like it wouldn't just be in the country. It would be all over the. I'm not saying it would happen everywhere by any means, no, but I think it would be happening in enough places over like the span of the globe. Um, so I think that's something I think we'll see is copycat killers. And I'm with you. I hope at least if they can't get Carrie Ellis to come back for the next one, I at least hope they get Logan to come back.
Now, one thing they could do, like I know we talked about Mark Hoffman, well, Hoffman being a copycat killer, but see, for those that don't know, he only did it because he wanted to get revenge on his sister. But they could actually still do the idea, but have a full-blown copycat killer. Like this guy actually killed many people.
The thing with copycat killers is usually there's like one copycat killer, like other people copy other people's murders, but like with copycats, there's usually just one true copycat. But with Saw, with the way the Saw things go down with the traps, I just can't see that being the case. I can't see there just being one. You know what I mean? But do you think it'll be like a if they have more than one? Do you think it'll be like a handful of people or?
I could see that, like I mean, with a group like, like it's like a group of people who like collect, like Jigsaw stuff. Well, I mean, I know there was like already talks about that, I think, in Jigsaw, but I mean, like, like what if there's like a full blown group of people doing it, and these people are actually killing people.
Yeah. Do you think if they have that, do you think they're going to have these people slip up, and that's what's going to make Logan and even like if they have Dr. Gordon turn their attention to them?
Actually, I could see that, like they slip up. And actually, I still have an idea, like, and I know some people, a lot of people probably already know about this, but there's a thing called the deep web, and there's a rumor that there's things called red rooms. For anyone asking, no, I've never seen one. I've never been in the deep web at all, but there's a rumor that there's a thing called red rooms where you can watch people getting killed. Maybe they could kind of touch on that, where the copycat killers are like, using red rooms to kill people.
That would be interesting. I could see them doing that. What are your what are your thoughts on this whole Robert Pattinson being Batman thing, man?
I'm not really sure. Like, I don't see him as Batman. I know people are talking about like Twilight, but I just don't see him as Batman. I think, honestly, I hate to say it, but I think he'd be more fitting for the Joker. If I could see him with like green hair and stuff, but not the Batman. I mean, not Batman.
I thought initially he's very young still. Um, I could see him as Robin. You know what I mean? Not I'm not knocking him
Oh, there you
at all, but
go. I'm
oh,
just,
sorry about that. But I could more see him
yeah,
as
no, it's,
Robin.
I could see Robin too. Like, I was just saying, like, I don't see him as Batman. I know I kind of said Joker, but see, the thing with Joker is you can put makeup on him and all that. But you still a good point. He still looks a little young.
Yeah. I honestly like it.
I know.
God, sorry.
Oh, that's fine. I know there's things about like Twilight, but see, what a lot of people don't know is he actually hated playing that character.
I don't know if you like. Have you seen Suicide Squad?
Actually, that's weird. I actually haven't. I know what's weird is I thought about watching it, but for some reason I never got around to it.
See, Suicide Squad, like when Ben Affleck was cast as Batman, Ben Affleck, to me, that Batman, they were going down the road of old man Batman in a way, because in Suicide Squad they introduce Amanda Wheeler, and Amanda Wheeler is the person who basically takes Bruce Wayne's DNA and injects it into a man, and he ends up having sex with his wife, and Terry McGinnis is born. Basically, Bruce Wayne is actually Terry McGinnis's father. Um, and Amanda Wheeler is the cause of that. So that's where I find it. I'm not necessarily mad. I think a lot of people are overreacting to the decision, in my opinion. But in my view, it's not so much about them casting somebody in. It's about, I just think DC and Warner are gun shy about going down the road of old man Batman fully.
Well, yeah, I can see that. And actually, for those that don't know, a lot of people say Edward Cullen, whatever his name is, isn't really a vampire. The thing is, though, if you say that, Robert Pattinson actually agrees with you.
uh, it, I mean, listen, people, how people get their foot in the door from an acting standpoint. I've said this before. The guy that played Taylor Lautner, the guy that played Jacob, I would love to see him in a Friday the 13th movie. I mean, but because I think he would look good as a woodsman or something. But I think people make too big of a deal of how people get their break in Hollywood. But do you
Oh,
think?
that's true. I know that Taylor guy was a child actor too, though.
Yeah, he was. He was in Shark Boy and Lava Girl. He was Shark Boy.
Did you know they got sued for that movie?
No, I did
Not
not.
him, but I mean the company. Oh, I don't know if you know, but I don't know if you ever seen TNA wrestling, but yeah, there's a wrestler named Shark Boy. He actually owned the trademark to it too. And he actually sued them.
I remember I know the wrestler Shark Boy. I've seen him wrestle. I didn't know he sued them over that.
Kind of a weird reason though, to be honest, but it happened.
That is weird. I'll admit. You touched on earlier that Carrie Ellis has sort of been touch and go in in the franchise. Do you think we see him less or more going forward?
I'm not sure. Like, I hope we see more of him, but then again, with the past issues, I don't know. Like, and I know I told you about this before, but for those who don't know, in Saw 2, originally his dead body was going to be seen in the hallway, but because of problems with him in the studios, that never happened.
Yeah, I'm hoping. I'm with you. I'm hoping we see him. Like, if not in the next one, then the one after this one they're gonna do. Um, Again, I think if this is gonna be what I think it is, I think they should just call it Saw 9. Because I honestly, I know they said about it's a spin-off, but really, in many ways, the Saw series, in a sense, Jigsaw was in a sense a spin-off, but yet it was Saw 8. So
Oh yeah, Saw. I mean, Jigsaw was interesting. I know we talked about this before, but yeah, for those who haven't seen it, yeah, it's basically a sequel and a prequel mixed in one.
yeah, and it's really really good.
Yeah, I agree.
Did you know the guy that plays Logan in Jigsaw? He's actually in Batman versus Batman, or sorry, Justice League. Kept messing up there. He's in Justice League. He's the guy Batman dangles from from the rooftop while that one creature comes after him.
Oh wow.
So it's interesting. But is there any character you think they're going to flash back to?
That's actually a good question. I really hope they do that with Amanda Young. For those that, oh man, it kind of sucks we couldn't record earlier because yeah, we had this awesome conversation earlier.
I know.
But yeah, one thing we touched about is like Amanda Young. It's actually revealed that she actually drove that drug dealer that accidentally killed Jill's baby, but we never. Supposedly, Jigsaw never actually found out, but me and Jewel actually came up with a theory. Maybe he did actually know, and he was trying to make her come clean.
Yeah, we both were bringing that up, and I'm with you. I find it. I think that test that he was having her do. I don't think it was having. It wasn't just for her messing up on the traps and killing people. He could have punished her for that at any given time. I think it was for he found out, he knew all along maybe that she drove the drug dealer there.
If you think about it, it kind of makes sense, because if you notice, he told Dr. Gordon that he didn't trust Hoffman either.
Yeah, that's it's weird because I'm with you that see he confided in Gordon a lot, and also too that's what's funny. Logan and Gordon are the most confided in characters outside of Jill.
Yeah, that's a good point, too.
So, is there? Do you think
Do you
we'll?
think, okay.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
I know it sounds like a weird question, but do you think that Saw 6 was originally going to be the last one? Because it kind of felt like it was set up that way.
Um, it you're in a lot of ways. I see what you're saying. That it felt a little like goodbye for most part, but Saw 7 when Saw 7 got made, and I went to go see Saw 7 in theaters. A What's weird about Saw 7 is, and maybe I don't know if you agree with me or not. Saw 7, you're right. I agree with you. Saw 6 felt like goodbye, but Saw 7, even though it was called the final chapter, it felt like hello all over again.
Actually, I felt that way too. That's one thing. It kind of annoyed me because, like, ended with them saying like Dr. Gordon's taking over and him locking Hoffman in the bathroom. And when I saw it, it's like I want more. Like, so I can kind of see what you're saying.
Yeah, Dr. Gordon was a great, like, holy shit, I need to see more of that, you know? Uh, do you think if they have Logan in the next one, do you think he's going to be still working at his job, or do you think he's going to be moving around?
That's actually a good question. I'm gonna go with him moving around. Like, he's probably gonna so-called retire, and then it's gonna turn out that it's because he has to work with the Jigsaw and all that, with the Jigsaw kill and all that.
If they bring, I hope that again either Logan or Dr. Gordon or both. I know we would love to see both of them. Um, I'm with you. I think they will have him move around. And again, I really hope with if they do the copycat killers that they have like a good bit of them, like a good number of killers with that. Do you foresee anybody? Or sorry, I'm jumping board. Do you think Tobin Bell will make an appearance in this? Hopefully.
I think he will, because he has, like, I think he's appeared in every single one, hasn't he? So I
Yeah.
kind of hope they keep that going.
It's weird because he's literally, you're right, he's appeared in every single one. It's like I said earlier, it's like tradition. It's like now become like Christmas and Halloween. Tobin Bell's appearing in Saw.
Yeah.
Shit. What what villains do you want to see in the Batman movie?
You know, that's a good question. I would like to see like the Riddler, um, possibly the Joker, but let's be honest, the Joker's a little overplayed, or played out, I should say. But I wouldn't mind him, but maybe Penguin or something like that too. I kind of hope they use ones that aren't as seen as much.
I definitely think they should use It's funny. Bloody Disgusting said they think it might be Penguin and Catwoman for the next one. I wouldn't mind seeing Penguin again because we haven't seen Penguin since the second movie. Danny DeVito did a hell of a job for the Penguin. Um, I'm with you on the Riddler. We haven't seen the Riddler in a while either. I really hope, though, too. I would not, and this is another one I would not mind seeing because we just have not seen him. Real, they were supposed to have Deathstroke, which is basically Slade, but I would not mind seeing Deathstroke in this movie.
Well, I thought Slade and Deathstroke were the same character, but just a different name.
Yeah, they are. That's what's funny about that.
It's kind of weird though, to be honest. But I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny in Teen Titans they call his ass Slade, but with Batman it's Deathstroke. Uh,
Yeah, I know in Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe they call him Deathstroke as well.
uh, only in DC will you have a character be called two different names due to spinoff.
Yeah.
So, but I hope they. I don't think they'll do Red Hood with the Batman, but I hope definitely down the line they do Red Hood.
Oh, what if they rebooted Dark Shadows again, and they had Robert Pattinson play the main character?
Um, if he wanted to, I wouldn't be against it. I think a lot of people would due to Twilight, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Again, Dark Shadows has to be done. It can't just be about Barnabas Collins. You know what I mean? Like I know. Look, I've told you this once upon a time before that Dark Shadows wasn't always about the vampire, but they need to build up the vampire before letting him out of that coffin.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, for those that don't know, I know this is I don't know if this has ever really been confirmed, but Twilight is clearly based on Dark Shadows. I'm not even as big a fan as Jewel here, and I can tell, just with the similarities.
Well, in Twilight, they're called the Collins family, right? All right. Dark Shadows, the family that lived in Collinwood was called the Collins family. So they took the Collins last name and used it in Twilight.
I think I might be wrong, but I think in Twilight his name is actually Colin, but it's still basically the same thing. I
Yeah.
could be wrong anyway. You never know. I've honestly never watched. I've never really. I've watched one of them, but I've never read the books, and I'm not like a fan.
I've seen two of the movies. I think you're right. It's Colin, but it's basically supposed to be like Collins from Dark Shadows. Here's the thing. This whole sympathetic vampire stuff As you know, I know people want to jump on Robert Patrick's ass for it. Well, here's the thing. That shit came from Dark Shadows. uh, John.
Dracula kind of had that too. If you think about it, because like, why don't it wasn't like totally like that, but Dracula did use romance to kind of lure his victims in.
Yeah, he did. Here's the thing. Here's the two distinct things I think with Barnabas that people miss. It wasn't so much just him being a vampire. He was a liar. He lied a lot.
Oh yeah, I can see that.
Um, I'll tell you the one thing I want to see most in Dark Shadows is this, and people are going to say Barnabas. I don't want to see any familiar Collins with him. I don't want to see Elizabeth, Roger. I want to see all new family members. The only really one family member I want to see is his sister, Sarah.
Oh yeah, that'd be kind of interesting.
His sister, Sarah, was a ghost. And I'd love to see them do this in a creepy way where she would always sing London Bridge. They would just do this shit out of nowhere in the 60 series. And it's eerie at times when she does it. And I would love to see them do that again. That's the one thing I hope they keep if they ever do another one.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Do you think with Saw that do you think there's going to be another main character introduced that isn't a copycat killer?
You know, I think that's possible. Like maybe there could be like another survivor, and I know maybe the other survivor could join the actual people.
Yeah. Remember in the final chapter, they had a group of survivors where there was that fake survivor, and most of them, other than the one guy who was heading all of it, they were all survivors of Jigsaw. So I'm wondering if we're going to ever see any of them again.
Oh, yeah, I wonder that too. Yeah, that guy was annoying. Like how he lied to everyone. That was kind of annoying.
You want to hear something funny? It, I looked at him, and when he started saying that, I started shaking my head. I'm like, this guy's full of shit. I never saw him in one goddamn trap.
Oh yeah, that's true too. Yeah, and that's what's interesting is like how he had to do the trap that he claims he survived but ended up failing.
Yeah, that was the whole final chapter, and then when they led it into when they brought it back with Jigsaw, it was like holy. Like the films. Here's what I'll give credit, especially with they all look different. Like all the Saw films, even though they all look different, and that's the one thing I've loved about it too, Daniel, is the difference in the way the films have looked.
But that's true. And actually, what's annoying is with this Chris Rock thing, I actually saw someone say that all of them are exactly the same. I was thinking, what Saw are you watching?
They must not be watching the same ones we are.
Yeah. I was tempted to ask that too. I was about to say, is there another series called Saw? But I decided to just let it go.
One step at a time, my friend. One step at a time. Oh, shit. uh, do you oh shit. For Batman, is there? Do you think we'll ever see? Because they have Robert Pattinson playing Batman. Do you think we'll see Robin again?
You know, I'm not sure because I've heard a lot of people don't like Robin. but I kind of would like him again. And not only that, like for those that don't know, Dick Grayson actually grows up, becomes a superhero himself named Nightwing. And it'd be cool to actually see that happen and get him getting his own movie series.
Yeah, when we did a Batman video once, and Daniel made a great suggestion that Lee Wannell play Nightwing, and I'm with you on that, man. I would love to see Lee Wannell play Nightwing.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. And actually, for those that don't know who Lee Wannell is, well, he's one of the creators of Saw, but you have seen him. He played Adam as well.
Yep. D. Now, if they have Catwoman, who do you think they should get?
Um, that's a good question too. She might be a little too old, but I was thinking they could get Trish Stratus, but she might be a little too old
Um, there was an actress I had in mind, and I can't place her now. I'm trying to think who she is. Shit. I've seen her. God, it'll come to me, but I hate when that happens. But I'm trying to think. I see her face, but I can't. Shit. The one. Shit. What was her name? I wouldn't. Again, I wouldn't mind if they brought. God, I'm horrible at this because I can't think of her name, but I can see her face. Anyway, whoever's in my mind at the currently that I can't think of should play Catwoman. That's how I'll skate that. But um, I wouldn't. Again, I think Catwoman's been done good so far. They had Michelle Pfeiffer. They had the one girl from the Princess Diaries player. So it's been done pretty well so far. I really.
Wasn't there like a bad one with Holly Bailey or something?
Yeah, Halle Berry. That's what's weird about that is that's actually the solo Catwoman movie.
But I think I've seen that too. Like, I don't remember how good it was, to be honest, because it was a while ago. But I remember it like being kind of weird because for some reason her nose was completely showing.
Yeah. What I found weird most about like that movie was that I can't believe they were doing her origin story and just I thought I know Michelle Pfeiffer was older at that point in time, but I would have rather that have been Michelle Pfeiffer because I thought she gave one of the most memorable performances of Catwoman. Is there anybody you want to see in the Saw franchise, Daniel? Like from an actor standpoint?
Oh, I'm not actually sure. It'd be cool to see it would be cool to see John Cena. And I don't mean like as like one of the people. I mean like actually as one of the victims. Like they give him some reason. Like they say like he's okay. I know people are probably gonna get mad about this, but they said but what if John Cena plays a steroid addict and that's like his punishment because Jigsaw says he wasn't taking care of his body and all that.
I could see that. I'll tell you another one would be good. Would be Brock Lesnar.
Oh yeah, that would definitely be good.
Oh shit! But I think Chris. For as much as I know, a lot of people might say Chris Rock, being a writer. I think it's in good hands. I think hopefully this will just be called Saw 9, and they'll do the expanded universe good. Um, so again, there's just so much there for that franchise. I know you and I love it to death. I hope they just continue the success it has had.
I agree. Well, I thought of another one. Thought another person for Wonder Woman. I mean, not Wonder Woman, Catwoman. Well, actually, it's funny as I said this, but I accidentally mute the mic. But yeah, one suggestion I have, and I know people are probably gonna think I'm joking, but I think Mila Jovovich would actually be a good Catwoman.
I could see her being Catwoman.
I could just see it right now. And I know people probably think I'm joking, but I'm really not. I actually think she might be good for it.
I could see her also being Poison Ivy as well.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool. Like they could have her like wear, I mean, obviously wear a red wig because you know, but I could see her like wearing that skin tight suit and all that.
Yeah. There's definitely the one thing I've loved about Batman with his like the women nemesis, the women villains he's had. They look extremely hot. So yeah.
Oh yeah, that actually reminds me of I think it was Batman and Robin. I remember when I still think it's kind of interesting when Batman wore like rubber lips, so you know, Poison Ivy's poison didn't work on him.
Yeah, good old George Clooney. He didn't research the role.
Yeah, I don't really get how that worked. I know it sounds I mean, I kind of like that idea, but I mean, not really. It's kind of hard to explain. Like, I thought it was an interesting idea, the whole lip thing, but then again, how would that really stop it completely? You know?
I think they were trying with some of that movie. They were trying to get the feel of the old '60s series, but you know,
Oh yeah, I can see that. Oh, and that's another thing. I think mentioned this before, but see, a lot of people are saying they should make a Batman Beyond movie, and ever says who should play Old Man Batman. The guy I want to play Old Man Batman is already deceased, and I've been saying this for years before he passed away. I said, if they ever made a Batman Beyond movie, I want Adam West to play Old Man Bruce Wayne.
yeah. Daniel has mentioned that when we did our Batman video. I think it was on the other channel though. I'm not sure, but yeah, Daniel has mentioned he would have wanted Adam West, and I could see, if he were still alive, yeah. Again, I think that's, again, DC and Warner, I don't know why they've hedged going down the road of old man Bruce Wayne. Um, I wish they would.
Yeah, that's true too. You know, I know. I think they have said they might consider Batman Beyond, but who knows if they'll actually do it.
If they did Batman Beyond, I know Adam West isn't around no more, but who would you get now if they did it for Bruce?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. Oh, you know what? Since we're talking about Saw, let's have Tobin Bell do it. Like, I mean, I could see him as like, because of his voice, he would actually be believable that he was once Batman. You know?
I could definitely see Tobin Bell being Batman. Or Bruce Wayne definitely, and teaching Terry McGinnis how to be Batman. And he could be, because here's the thing. As much as I love Bruce Wayne and Batman, here's the thing. Dick Grayson, the one thing people need to remember is, yeah, Bruce loved, the Robins in a sense, but he was a dick to each and every one of them from a training standpoint. So I could definitely see Tobin Bell being like a hard-nosed trainer to Terry McGinnis.
That would be pretty interesting.
Uh, have you ever seen any of the Dirty Harry films?
I don't think so.
See, this would be my pick for like I would pick Clint Eastwood as well for like old man Bruce Wayne, simply because when you watch Dirty Harry, like the last two especially, he tends to disappear like Batman.
Oh, interesting.
Shit. But yeah, if they ever did a live action Dragon Ball Z, and I know Evolution, we all know Evolution sucked. Who do you, who would you like to see like play Goku?
That's actually a good question. Yeah, I'm not really sure, like, but I think they should actually start with him as a kid. See,
Yeah,
that's one bad thing about me, because I like older movies. For those that don't know, I like older movies, so most of the actors I know are, like, either old or dead. But I think they should have, a kid, and I think they should have someone who's actually a fan of the franchise, not just, like, not just some random kid. They need to actually find someone who's actually seen the show and all that.
yeah. It's weird because I was before I called you, I was talking to some other friends of mine on Messenger, and I asked them if they ever saw Dragon Ball Z, and they're like, "We've never heard of it."
What? Wow.
They're way older than us though. They're like in their 50s and stuff. So
Oh, okay, that explains it.
yeah,
I don't know. That still seems like, because I know there was an older fan base even when my generation was young. But then again, that might have been a rare minority though too.
it's amazing what people haven't heard of. But I think again, just the excitement of Saw. What do you think they should call this next Saw movie, Daniel?
I would say, you know what? I'd say just keep it safe. Call it, like you said, Saw 9.
Yeah.
Oh, I know this is not Goku, but I do have a standard for Krillin though. I think if they make another Dragon Ball movie, I think they should get an actual little person to play Krillin.
I actually agree with you on that because Krillin was very short for, but he was the one thing Krillin showed was tenacity.
Oh, that's true, yeah. But yeah, for people that don't know, you probably do though. But for those that don't know, Krillin is supposed to be a little person. But I guess that's kind of obvious since he's still like kid sized when in the Buu saga. So I guess it's kind of obvious.
Is there?
Are you still there?
Yeah, I was trying to think of the Halloween question I was wanting to ask you before you got off here because I do want to ask you at least one Halloween question before we go. Um, I, I know Jamie Lee Curtis is probably coming back and Andy Matichek. Is there any actor or actress you want to see appear in the next film?
Um, it'd be cool to see Danielle Harris. I mean, yeah, Danielle Harris again, because I know she's been in 4 movies, but I would like to see her come back, like even if it's as a different character.
I could see her. She's always been. I think no, she does not get enough credit for carrying Halloween 5. I know a lot of people don't. There's problems with 5, but she carried that movie in a lot of ways.
So I know this is like kind of, I probably should have asked this like a while ago, but who would you have play Goku?
Um, like if he started off as a kid, that's so tough because I don't know. I'm not caught up on like child actors, so I don't know about a kid, but I definitely think that, like you said, it should be somebody that's familiar with the franchise and maybe a fan of the franchise. But for an adult, if they did it, like if they started off not as a kid, but I know we think they should, but for humor's sake, if they started him off as an adult, I actually would like to see them get a um, the one person I think they should definitely get would be um, either a Japanese actor to play Goku, and I know how some people might not like that, but if just to be nice to those people who won't like it, I'll pick an American actor for them, and I'm gonna have well, not so much an actor, but as crazy as this would sound, I would actually pick Roman Reigns.
Oh, that would be kind of interesting. Actually, one thing I was thinking about, it's actually funny you brought up Dragon Ball because today I was actually thinking about it. How the hell did Ben Ramsey even write it? Because he said he's never read the manga, and he's only seen. I think he said he's seen like one episode of the manga. I mean, of the anime. It's like, how the hell did he even know what he was doing at all?
Oh shit! You think he had a ghostwriter?
You know, I could see that, to be honest. I know there was another script too. I don't know if I ever told you about that. I've never really went around to write it, but I mean, reading it. But yeah, he had another script too. But I wouldn't. Of course, maybe that's what. Actually, you know what? Maybe that's how he got two scripts. Maybe he had a ghostwriter for both. You know.
Yeah, I could see that.
And what's weird though? And what's really weird is one of the things he got right is the dragon's name in a way. Because I know you know it because I've told you, but for those that don't know, yes, in Japan, the dragon's name is in fact Shenlong. But here's my theory. I think he just skimmed through the manga and that's how he knew that.
It definitely makes sense when you think about it. Uh, because, listen, there's nobody that knows Dragon Ball better than Daniel here, and I'll say this. What I didn't know, I've learned from you, so I'll give you a lot of credit. I do find,
Thanks.
you know what I mean? I find it interesting. I think he probably did have a ghostwriter, or maybe he had somebody consulting with him that knew about it or read some of the stuff. But that would be my only theory about that.
I will give him some credit though. He knew Piccolo was a villain. And for those that don't know, you'd be shocked how many people on the internet don't know that. Like, I've seen reviews of Evolution, and I've actually seen people straight up say Piccolo wasn't bad. It's like, are you serious?
Yeah, he actually was bad in Dragon Ball.
Yeah. And actually, what's even funnier is that's not even the dumbest thing I've heard people say. I've actually seen people say that the movie got it wrong, and people were saying that, well, people were saying, like, Gohan is his son, not his grandpa. And I've even seen some people say that the movie was, well, whoever wrote the movie was stupid because of that. It's like, oh, that's his grandpa's name now.
Yeah, he names Gohan after, you know, he takes his grandpa's name and uses it for his son.
Yeah, I'm starting to think a lot of people have never actually seen the whole show. I think these people are what they call bandwagon fans, where they watched Dragon Ball Z when it was popular, but never actually paid attention, you know.
Here's the thing, I can't really like harp on him too bad because I hear this shit with Dark Shadows in a sense. People will say, well, didn't it start off with Barnabas Collins? And I'm like, no, no, it didn't.
Yeah. Well,
uh,
remember how you were saying like GT ties in good with the first two Dragon Ball shows?
yeah.
I actually saw someone else say that today.
Yeah, listen, we're slowly educating them.
Yeah, pretty much.
uh, now,
Okay,
go ahead. Sorry.
well, I know how I was talking about how people don't know about Grandpa Gohan and Piccolo being a villain. I know that's ridiculous, but the Shenlong thing, I'll give a pass because for those that don't know, Funimation actually changed some of their names, and the Dragon was one of them.
Yeah, you were telling me that before. I think with GT, I think people are going back and rewatching it and maybe going, you know what, this wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
That's true. Oh, it's actually funny because one time someone asked why everyone hates GT, and my answer was simple. I said because it's cool to hate GT, and someone was saying, or it's because it's bad. And I don't remember what I said, but I think I said something like to the lines where I said, "How come no one hated it back in the 2000s?" Then I don't remember what I said, but it was something along the lines.
I love. I don't know. We both loved it, and again, it harks all the way back to Dragon Ball. That's something I definitely loved about it. Um, what do you got? Before we sign off here, man, what do you got coming up on your channel?
I'm actually going to review some franchises. Okay, I'm probably gonna get around to them eventually, but I'm either thinking about Psycho or A Nightmare on Elm Street. I might do Friday 13th too, but I'm trying. Like I was telling Jewel, I was trying to figure out how I'm gonna do Freddy versus Jason then.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna tell people now if I do I might do Evil Dead too. Now I think about it, but what I was also telling Jewel, if I do A Nightmare on Elm Street, for those that don't know, I can't do Freddy's Nightmares because of lack of availability.
Yeah.
I could do the Friday 13th TV series though, because that is on DVD, but I don't know. There's not a lot of info about the characters and stuff, so I'm starting to wonder if it's maybe it's maybe as bad as people say.
Yeah. Have not watched that much of it, to be honest, the Friday the 13th TV series, but so I can't say whether it's good or bad. Um, but as always, man, it's a pleasure having you on. It was a pleasure bringing you on. I want to thank Daniel for coming on. This was a lot of fun to do.
Oh, you're welcome.
We were talking for 2 hours earlier about it, and we finally got to
Yeah,
do it. We finally got this around to do it. Um, so I'll definitely see you again, man. I'll leave a link to this in the description box to Daniel's channel. You can get him at Killenberg on Twitter. And thanks again, man.
you're welcome, and thanks for having me.
Yep.